Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, however you're watching, wherever you're watching, however you listen, wherever you're listening. It's the Bet Online Salute Your Troy podcast. Bet Online Salute Your Troy podcast brought to you by betonline.ag. Put in promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV. Catch in all the action. If you want to put in any action for this weekend, put in promo code BLEAV. 50% bonus. Also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. If you want to take fantasy to the next level, put in code USC LAV. Get a $100 match. It's easy. You pick 2 to 8 people. Go over under and make you some cash. We're here with our good boy. We're 2/3 of the tripod. The bearded bandits in full effect. Our man Ride Die with the longest week ever. He went to Tulum, Mexico. Once he landed in LAX, he kissed his wife and his baby. Went to Tibbet, Tom Bradley International. From Tibbet, hopped on a plane and went to Las Vegas, Nevada to see the Trojans play live in full effect. You had a couple of days of rest, but how are you doing?
Exhausted. I'm good. But hey, I got to say, I got 2 things. I wish I went from Tom Bradley, hopping a plane, but I actually drove to Vegas. So I got in at midnight. We went home. I slept, woke up, left LA at like 9, got to Vegas at like 1. Covered the game. I think I wrote 4 articles. We did our live show, did the press conference, and then I left and drove home at 11:30. Got home at 3 a.m. So it was a long, from a already pretty tiring vacation to that. Luckily Monday, Labor Day, I was able just to like chill and relax. And but yeah, happy to be here. Other thing I had to say, because you brought up Bet Online, college football obviously back. So betting, dude, I hit a 7-team parlay on Saturday.
You did?
Randomly. Hit a 7-team parlay. One of those, this just shows you how like degenerate it was. One of the games I had was Northern Colorado and Incarnate Ward was one of the games, and I hit on it. It's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
USC, took USC
yeah.
plus 4. Easy money.
My brother and Brittany are trying to do a let it ride this year. So we're starting with $20. We lost. I took Oregon State to cover. He took Oregon to cover. Neither one of us covered. Brittany covered. But so we're going to do it again this Saturday. A let it ride. Pick one team, play the spread or money line. If we win, we'll go to the next week and let it ride. See how long we can let it ride for. But so far we're down $20. So we have to make our $20 next week.
Bad start. College football is hard because even on the easy picks, like, you know, the juggernauts against like the cupcakes, like the spreads are so huge. It's like, are they going to win by 42? Like, it's just
Oregon State spread wasn't even that bad. I took it at 25.
Yeah. Well, and whoever took Oregon, I mean, they only beat Idaho by.
Yeah. And Britt was like, we're not taking any spreads that are over 50. We're not taking 50-point spreads anymore. So definitely. Speaking of college football, speaking of betting, Trojans covered. Trojans win. You guys saw us excited. We're going to talk about it a little bit and flush it. Really impressed with Trojans football. I'm off my high now. And I had just to let you know, I had a little bit of boost because, like I said, I was celebrating the Labor Day holiday. I had a bunch of people over. But I was really impressed. It's only the beginning. There's some outliers that are still standing out. And I'm going to go with the common denominator, and I'm going to take the popular vote, and I'm going to sit back and watch this weekend. But I don't think our pass rush is good enough, right? And I think our pass rush not being good enough kind of hinders the defensive backs. You can only cover for so long. You're supposed to have the ball out in 3 seconds. You can only cover for 4. That's going to be a problem when we come down the line and we play better teams, especially teams that like to throw the ball around. That's going to be a big issue. Hopefully that was just the O-line, playing one of the best O-lines, playing 2 potential first-round picks, probably go back-to-back. They're saying that's 1 and 2 O-line taken off the board.
Yep.
On that one, I'm waiting to see. But for the most part, it was very sound defense. For the most part, we kind of ended the question like we alluded to in the live. We need one more stop. Are we going to be able to get the stop? And we got the stop. It's not stamped yet. It's not in ink. It's still in pencil. We need to see more. It's still a small sample size. I don't think Utah State will be a good enough sample for us. I don't know what the spread is. I think it's up there. I think when I saw it was in the 30s, if I'm not mistaken. They should cover 30. But, I mean, we have to get to a point now to where we have to point out the clearing. Another thing is, I don't think we're that solid up front on the offensive line, right?
Real quick, let me jump in on the defense, and then we can move the.
All right, go ahead. I apologize.
No, you're good. Just figured it's easier than rehashing all of it. But no, I that was the big notice in this game was the pass rush. Now, again, we talked about in the live. I don't want to. Anyone can do whatever they want. I don't want to be too critical just because of who they were going up against. I mean, that might be the best offensive line they face all season. Now, Michigan's going to be no slouch either. They're always good in the trenches. The Big Ten in general is always good in the trenches. So it's not like it's going to get like way easier, but you can make the argument that might be the best, not just offensive line, but coach, when you look at quarterback play, again, it's 1 week, but when you look at, I think your power may have died when I was saying this, but when you look at quarterback play last week, outside of Drew Aller at Penn State, Garrett Nussmeier is probably the best quarterback SC's going to play all year. I mean, when you look at what it looked like, because they're not playing Oregon, when you look at what Garbers looked like at UCLA, when you look at what Wisconsin looked like, when you look at, some of the other teams they're playing.
Orgy's not even starting for Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, they don't know what they're doing yet. In Michigan, they were kind of doing a dual quarterback thing. So the fact that may have been the best passing offense they will face. Now, again, it's 1 week, a lot can change, and they were able to do what they did speaks volumes, I think. So the pass rush, I agree. We need to see more, but I'm giving them pass for now because of who they're going up against. Also, the last thing I'll add, they're playing really soft for sure in the first half. They obviously tightened up more in the second. I think, I haven't heard Danton Lynn straight up say this, but I think that was really intentional based on first game, not giving up a big play, making sure communication was key and just keeping everything in front of them and seeing what they could kind of do up front with that front seven. And when they saw that they weren't going to get pushed around, they were able to tighten down a little bit, but they want to, coming out of the gate, you don't want to put all the pressure on your secondary to get burned. And then all of a sudden the floodgates open. So I think they were playing really soft intentionally in the beginning, and it kind of almost pushed LSU to think they had the way with it. And then when they tightened things down in the second half, we saw they weren't able to move the ball nearly like they were in the first half. So I thought it was a great game plan, but go ahead, back to you.
So he was trying to fill out the flow of the game in the first half. And then he came out and was like, here you guys go. I got something for you. No, and like I said, this isn't a criticism. These are areas of improvement.
Of course.
So we have to improve on the pass rush, and it may have been because it was one of the best offensive lines that they see. I don't know, and we need to wait to see. And that's where I am on that. I'm going to switch over to offense.
Yeah, go to the offensive line now.
I do think that the offensive line had some issues. Now, it's way better than it was the past 2 years. Even Caleb's Heisman year, the offensive line wasn't that great. Last year, the offensive line was just awful. I think it's going to get to a point, and when I say this, I'm thinking January play. Right, we got to prepare for January now if we want to make the playoff. You're going to get to a point to where you're going to place really good defensive lines, right? And we don't know what is good anymore because Florida State apparently still has the top defensive line, and they gave them 200 yards rushing. So, but we're going to get to a point to where you're going to face a defensive line that's really, really good, and you're going to have to hold for those 3 seconds. I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but I'm saying it's something that we could tighten up. I don't know if you know this, but they had where Alani Nua was.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 people starting there. Did they rotate the offensive line again this year, or did they stay with the same 5 guys? I couldn't tell from regular broadcasts.
Yeah, from what I could tell, Noah played pretty much. I think I could look at snap counts here. I probably should do that anyway, but Noah I think was the guy.
Okay, so it's not the end of the world. I'm not saying it's not the end of the world, but we're looking at, and here's the problem with SC, right? If they would have lost, they would have stayed below the radar. They probably would have only lost that game and stayed below the radar. The fact that they beat LSU, SEC team, the only game played on Sunday night, on Labor Day, on opening weekend, and the fact that they're SC, the whole world's watching now.
Yeah.
And there's no room for error anymore because as soon as they lose now, there goes the typical SC. Now, I will say this: like I said, this is a foundation year, and SC might lose 3 games. They might lose 1, and if they lose 2, it's just going to be a bad day. But it's either going to be Penn State or Michigan. The rest, everybody else on their schedule, they are way better than. There's nobody on their schedule besides Penn State and Michigan that they're not better than. Now, will they have a bad day? This is also another issue that needs to be fixed. That we need. SC never traveled well. Every time they played on the road, they struggle. Is this something that Lincoln Riley's fixed? This is another question that we had on our offseason list, and there's only one way to figure it out, and we'll find that out in 2 weeks when they go to Michigan and play. But they're better than everybody else, and they match up well with Michigan. They match up well with Penn State. So 1 loss, maybe 2 losses on a bad day, but they keep knock off one of those teams. Penn State comes, is it Happy Valley or is it
they come here? They
come here. People are going to judge me because I don't know the schedule off the top of my head. I apologize, guys. But
that's what I'm here
for. But Happy Valley, so happy they come here and then they go to the big house. Everybody else is kind of, there may be some challenge up front, but they're way better than everybody on their schedule. We saw what UCLA was. UCLA is what we expected them to be. Wisconsin is what we expected Wisconsin to be. Minnesota, and those guys are going to fix things too. But the thing is, I'm not talking now. I'm talking to get events in the playoffs, the things that we need to fix, because now you're going to play teams that are better than you. But how do you fix those small nuisances to get you over the hill and overcome those battles to be able to advance? What do you have on the offense, Ryan?
Yeah, well, offensive line. I actually think in pass pro, I was extremely impressed.
It's way better. It's way better than it has been in the past. And I said that. It's way better than it has been in the past. But they gave up some sacks on timely moments.
There was a few moments, but overall, they gave up the least amount of pressures of any team in the Power 4.
Where'd you find that stat?
PFF, Pro Football Focus.
Oh, okay.
My job, baby. The least pressures of any team that played a Power 4 team, and that's with a redshirt freshman, Elijah Paige, and Jonah Montheim with his first career start at center against an SEC team, the LSU. So I think against pass pro in week 1, I wouldn't take anything. Obviously, you still need to improve. They're going up against, Michigan has arguably one of the best defensive linemen in all of college football. So we talked about LSU having the best offensive line. Now they're going to go up against one of the best defensive lines when they go up to Ann Arbor. So, there's still going to be room for improvement. But when you look at a true sophomore in Alani Noah, redshirt freshman, first-time starter at center, I think there's a lot to be excited about there. Now, in the running game, that's where I'm even more with you. And I know you've said all positive, but that's where I'm more that we need to see a little more improvement, because outside of a few runs, it was definitely tough sledding for Woody Marks. Now, down towards the goal line, it's almost like they got better. Both his 2 touchdowns were nice, 5, 6, 7 yard runs that he's able to leak through and break through and get touchdowns. So it seemed like they played better at the goal line, but it would be easier or be better for them to be able to rely a little bit more on the run game than they were able to in this game. And I don't think LSU right now has one of those elite defensive lines. Now, they're always good. They still have talent. It's SEC, LSU, Louisiana has great talent coming out of high school, so they're always going to be good. They're not just like a garbage defensive line, but they're not the vaunted D-lines that we saw when Edo was there and they were running the table. So for the running game, definitely improvement. In pass pro, I was pleasantly surprised.
And we got to remember, too, LSU's defense wasn't that bad. They only gave up 27 points. Like, there was 47 points given up in the game. I'm surprised that the wise guys let those teams leave Vegas, because they broke Vegas that day because everybody took the over, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Vegas
our guy Jake was right. He said,
yeah,
when there's 2 powerhouse offenses, take the under. 2 powerhouse defenses, take the over. He was right.
So take the – and I told Jamal, I called 24-27 USC. And he was like, when we were at UCLA, you said 10-13. I'm like, no, this is about on the show with me and Jamal. I said 24-77 USC, and I was close. I was close. I just watched a lot of Deion Lane, and he made a lot of sense in what he does on defense. But LSU got better on defense. I don't want people to underthink LSU was a bad defense. They only gave up 27 points in today's world. Like 27 points in today's world is very, very good. So they played a good defense. We just have a good quarterback and very good receiving core. And we have a very good play caller who knows how to call the right play at the right time and make something happen. Sometimes he gets a little bit too fancy and he wants to start with making up trick plays, but there was no need to do that. Just play your game. You know what I mean? The old Lincoln was coming. If that would have cost us the game, I was going to go off on Sunday night. I just want to let you know that. Like, I was going to let Lincoln have it. So, but the defense held up, and he saved himself, definitely. A little injury news. Did you go to practice today, or did you go to practice this week?
Yeah, I was on it was a Zoom call today, but so I was on with Lincoln today earlier, yes.
Yeah, go ahead and let us know any reports you got from the Zoom call. I know.
Yeah, so go
ahead and mention Mason Cobb too. I was going to mention him, but you can go ahead and knock that out.
Yes, that's the only injury designation. Everyone else fully healthy, which is great to hear. But Cobb is questionable. He's been limited in practice all week. I would anticipate, because of the opponent, no disrespect to Utah State, but they'll just keep him out to get fully healthy. Then they have a bye week, and then they go play Michigan. So there's no sense. Again, no disrespect, but when you look at the depth they have right now in that room, Gentry obviously will start because they only are going 2-backer sets mostly. So Mascarenas, Arnold, and Gentry. And then you got Rayshawn Davis and some of the new guys, and Desmond Stevens and Elijah Newby, who I think can play in as true freshmen as well. So questionable, but I would highly anticipate he will not play.
Any other good takeaways from today's press conference?
I mean, I asked about, which we're going to get to now in the preview, Bryson Barnes, quarterback, Utah State. Obviously, he was with Utah last year when Utah came to the Coliseum and beat the Trojans on a come-from-behind drive. He self-proclaimed, called himself the Trojan Killer, which I'm sure USC will remember now playing him at Utah State. But asked, just Lincoln about, does having that film help? And obviously, he's in a different system, different team. How do you utilize film from last year within combining it with this year's film? And so, he said, yeah, it's helpful to see what kind of quarterback he is. Obviously, his dual threat ability. He ran for 88 yards against Robert Morris last week, so has that ability to get outside the pocket and make plays with his legs. So this defense is going to, Garrett Nussmeier I don't think ran for a single yard last week. So it'll be a little different test to at least keep him within the pocket and not let him get outside and extend plays, which we saw him do at Utah last year a lot. I think on that last drive, one of the biggest plays, it seems like a long time ago, but was on a third down scramble where he extended the drive with his legs. So certainly that will be a point of emphasis for the remaining practices up until Sunday night.
Before we go into Utah State, let's start the pot a little bit. Let's get people upset in the comments. Do you think, and I think this, and I know for a fact this is true, Nussmeier, Miller Moss are the two most pro-rated quarterbacks draft eligible right now?
It certainly looks like it right now. People would argue probably who else? Carson Beck and Shedeur Sanders?
I mean, Shedeur Sanders isn't that good. I'm just being honest. Like, let's look at numbers. It's easy to throw up numbers when you play North Dakota State. And you almost lost that game on the last second interception that they tackled him at the 3-yard line. Then you would have to explain it. But when you throw 40-something times in a game, you're expected to have 400 yards. That's average in today's game. Like, let's legit be real. Are you faster than a defensive end in the NFL? Because defensive ends are fast in the NFL. Nussmeier and Miller Moss are guys who sit in the pocket and go through their reads and then make the right read and then hit the ball. Like, true or false? This was a whole different playbook that we saw from Lincoln Riley.
Oh, true, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and we knew it would be. We knew it would be.
Yeah. So, well, we did. The fans didn't, but then I ended up being right again. I'm gonna start keeping tally. No, I'm just but no, seriously though, like those two quarterbacks should be the first two quarterbacks taken off the board this year. Like, they're ready. And they sat and they developed and they've been around for a long time. I think those two are the top two quarterbacks prospects in the NFL draft. Will it happen? No, because the fans have a lot to say. Yeah, true.
I think Carson Beck obviously looked good in week 1 against Clemson, Georgia quarterback.
Carson Beck is pro ready too.
And I think Quinn Ewers over at Texas is going to probably have a pretty good season as well. Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. I mean, they put up 70 points. Obviously, they played a freaking cupcake. But I mean, let's just say this: if Moss and Newsmeyer. And again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves week 1. But if they declare after this year, this is going to be a loaded QB class, even maybe more than what we just saw in the 24 draft.
No, it's not loaded. It's not
You don't
loaded.
think?
There's a lot of quarterbacks, but it's not loaded. There's nobody on there that you could legit say, oh, this is going to be a game changer.
I don't think there's anyone better than Caleb Williams. I agree with you there. But when you look at after Williams this year, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, like Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Miller Moss, Garrett Newsmeyer, like depending on how the season goes, all 4 of those guys could have similar seasons to what those 4 did.
I'm just looking at it as like Nessmeyer, Carson Beck, and Miller Moss can run pro offenses without a glitch.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers, Shador Sanders, and all those other guys can't jump in and run pro offenses. It's going to be a learning curve for them. So that's what I mean by when I say pro ready.
Yeah. Jackson Dart, I think, can run a pro offense too.
You think so?
Yeah, I think with Lane Kiffin, they run a pro style offense in a way.
Well, we'll find out.
We'll find out. Yeah.
We'll see. It's early. It's really early.
That's question, though. It's a fun question.
Yeah. Very early evaluation. Yep. So let's move it forward. I just want to say this. I don't know who scheduled this game. I don't know who is in charge of making this happen, but whoever did this is the example of the USC in the past and why the product on the field was not the way it was supposed to. It's why it was the way it was. The first thing I'm going to say is that this game, USC is not going to be a very sharp team. And the reason why I'm going to tell you that is this. In the NCAA, you have to take a day off. And your mandatory day off starts on Monday. So they played Sunday. They had to take their mandatory day off on Monday, right? So they get back Tuesday. And then Tuesday, they have to watch the film from Sunday, watch Utah State, fix corrections, prep for a game. Wednesday and Thursday are their only 2 days of work. Walk through on Friday. Actually, honestly, and Coach Carroll always said this before, the day before, Thursday is the most important day of the week. If you don't get it on Thursday, you're not going to get it at all. But with only 2 days of work, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're not going to get because you're missing an extra day of work and preparation. Don't like this scheduling. Hate that it happened. In a normal system, right, you either get Sunday or Monday off. A lot of coaches move to the Monday. I went to the coaches clinic a few years back. Iowa gives Thursday off because they did the research and the studies. They give Thursday off, stay away from the facility on Thursday. You either get Sunday or Monday off, but at least if you get Monday off on that Sunday, you can watch the film and run and get some things in and start prepping for the week ahead, and then you have more days to prepare. That joint Tuesday and you're not really getting the good work in, it just puts them in a bad place. Should they win? Yes. Are they way better? Yes. Should they cover? Yes. I just don't like what's going to happen. My biggest issue is that you're going to have Barnes trying to be the savior of the game, and I don't think that he understands what he's walking into now, right? That game-winning drive last year was a bad USC defense. He's not going to get the same thing this year, and it's going to be a lot harder for him because there's better talent, bigger talent, and the defense is a lot better than it was a year ago. It's all you, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those, like, feels like a trap game, right? With kind of schedule and 8 o'clock. Well, I don't think it is, but I'm just saying it feels like that. 8 o'clock kickoff. Yada, yada, coming off a huge win. You're the talk, not just of LA, you're the talk of the nation. Everyone that was hating on you all of a sudden now is saying SC might be a college football playoff contender. Like they're getting.
What up, Paul?
Yeah, they're getting praised by everyone, which always is, concerns you a little bit. But as long as the culture has been built right, which it seems like it's trending that way, it shouldn't be the case. So I don't think this will be an issue. I think, as we'll get into it right now, Utah State, fired their coach a week before this, 2 weeks before the season started, and had to promote their defensive coordinator. Who's a very good coach, but I think he's like 33 years old. They're now head coach, and
lucky bastard.
Yeah. So a lot of turmoil with their program turning over. They struggled against Robert Morris last week before kind of pulling away late in that game. So I mean, this has the makings of like not even a trap game where USC would lose, but like come out sluggish, look bad, have to like play their starters all throughout the game. if this
I
team
could
is
see that.
different like we think they are, Jaden Maeva should be playing in the second half. I mean, this game should be over by halftime.
No, it won't be over by halftime. Just because of preparation. Only because of preparation.
Yeah.
And they just have one less day of preparation. That's all I'm saying. If they had the 3 full days, then I think it'll be over by halftime. But I think this game will be over in the fourth quarter. So Maeva should be in fourth quarter. But it's not going to go as smoothly as people think because of the preparation. And I could be wrong. I will say this again. I could be wrong. They might show up and just be. And now I will tell you this, Ryan, and this is factual. If they show up and just blow these dudes out the water and the game is over by halftime, we have a championship caliber team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's championship caliber stuff. I don't care. You could talk to any coach, Nick Saban, Pete Carroll, whatever. That's a championship caliber team. That's what we want, ideally. I'm just laying the cards out. I'm just looking at it from my coach's eyes. Like, I lost a day of preparation. I know what to expect. Hopefully these guys can overcome it and get through it, and we get out this game a lot smoothly than anticipated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, it shouldn't be seen as end of the world if let's say it's a 28-point spread. Let's say they win by, 21.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that should be seen as a terrible thing. The biggest thing for me is I don't want to have to revert back and have to ask the same questions we were asking before the season started. Like, if the defense regresses and Bryson Barnes and this offense are able to put up 21, 28 points and it takes USC's offense putting up 50 to win, then that's where it's like, okay, I'm not saying LSU would be a fluke, but like, why do we have to ask these questions again? Like, I'd much rather the offense maybe come out sluggish, struggle, and they win 28-7. But it's like, okay, defense is for real. They shut it down. Offense maybe wasn't clicking off at the beginning. I'm not saying I think that's going to happen, but that's the hope. We don't have to revert back and ask the same questions we were asking early on, which I don't think we will. I feel, I don't know, maybe I'm too confident right now, but the team I saw coach on Sunday, like, I was just so impressed because
you saw him in person.
Yeah, I was just the demeanor they had, the sideline presence they had. I mean, no more. Also, there was obviously guys jumping, but the big criticism I think of the sidelines the first 2 years was the jumping towel guys.
Yeah.
There's not that anymore. Like,
the towel guy's gone. The towel guy, they got rid of the towel guy.
There were some times where guys were jumping, getting fired up, but it wasn't like a continuous like towel guys jumping. It was obvious last year, the last 2 years. There was that when you see the coaches, the way they're talking with the tablets on the sideline, the performance that was after from going from the locker room and then coming out and what the performance was, this team just feels very, very different. I wrote an article after the game and my title was just, this USC Trojans team is different, and it's only off one game, but I just feel very confident. I'm not saying they're going to win the Natty off of one game, but I think they've made such strides in the right direction in such a short time that my confidence level going into these games is so much higher. Whereas last year, I remember being like, well, we got Caleb Williams, so they can win any game they're in, but I have no confidence they will.
Yeah,
I feel very different this year.
So you and I were both there at the holiday boat, though. You remember I asked Ware-Hudson, I was like, you guys have the advantage of having a spring game against somebody else. All you guys are a bunch of guys who never really played before. And he's like, this is different. The guys we have here now are different. This team will win and this and that. And we're seeing that. And I've talked about, and actually there's a reel out and of me saying that from Sunday night, like this is completely different, and hopefully it sticks together, and hopefully it is a team, and this is something different. You can't win if your locker room isn't together, and hopefully the locker room has got together and we got it moving forward. But let's roll into Utah State. So Utah State's
Coach, real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Last thing, and then let's.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Because you got some great film you're going to show the listeners right now. But I think the last thing I'll say that's, I don't know if it's rehashing or just looking forward, but even in the Heisman year in 22, when Lincoln Riley's first year, there was a lot of excitement, obviously. The team won 11 games. But after this win, I can't remember seeing the city of LA, USC alumni, former Trojan players, the national media. I can't remember them ever being like this hyped about this team. Even during that Heisman year that had so much excitement after a 4-win team, and everyone was pumped about Lincoln being here and this, there was definitely excitement then. But this, in not just the team, but just the excitement around this team feels different. I mean, can you remember the last time the Dodgers are in a pennant race, and USC is the talk of the town right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's just talking about USC, including all the major outlets.
You know what else they're talking about too?
What?
Number 5 banners in the corridor.
That's right. Number 5's back. Number 13's retired.
Yep.
Lincoln Riley's birthday is today. We should just let off with that. Happy birthday, Coach Riley.
We should have left off with number 5 back is back in the turnstile.
There's too much going on. I mean, SC is up. SC's media team is crushing it. Look at the hype video they came out with. You got the YouTube show they got. I mean,
I will say this too. This is how you know SC is slowly climbing back. All of a sudden, a random story about Miller Moss pops up about something that happened 2 years ago. Like, bro, he's in college. It happened 2 years ago. Let it go. There's nothing that's going to happen from this. He farted on a dude's pillow. How many dudes in college farted on a dude's pillow trying to get somebody pink eye? Like, stop. Leave it alone.
Yeah,
like,
what timing? What terrible timing.
No, it was planned. That was planned.
I love how randomly. So we interviewed, and then we'll get to Utah State film, but at the Super Bowl, remember we interviewed me and Jamal interviewed Mo Hassan because he was there randomly.
Yeah.
Randomly, everyone's like finding that video, and we're getting like hate for like interviewing him. It's like, bro, this was back in February. Like, we didn't have any idea of it, but we're getting hate for like interviewing him because he was Miller Moss's roommate. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, so
it's funny, like that video surfaced, like we were just interviewing about like Lincoln Riley. Like, I don't know, why are we caught in the crossfires here?
Wait, so I thought Miller Moss was the dude that took the clothes and farted on the pillow.
Yeah,
isn't that what happened?
Okay, I don't even want to get in. We didn't even report on it because I think it's a stupid story.
It is stupid, but
reportedly, Mo Hassan was Miller Moss's roommate, so Miller Moss did that to Mo Hassan.
Oh, well, we interviewed Mo Hassan, so why are people mad?
Because everyone thinks Mo Hassan leaked it.
Oh!
I don't know if that's true, but that's what a lot of fans think.
Oh,
they think he's the one who put it out there.
Yeah, I don't know. But let's speak of Miller Moss in a good way. Miller Moss has the opportunity to pass for 400 yards this weekend. And the reason why I say this, now I will say this defense isn't bad and they do some good stuff, but there gets to times where he gets a little weird. And this is one of the times right here. We see how this is set up right now. This guy right here is a free safety. I have this little drawing right here. This free safety is here. He's at +3. So +3 is off the hash 3 yards, right? And we say -3, you start moving in towards the hash. Between the numbers and he's at 9 +3. Between the numbers and the hash is the divider. So you kind of use that. You go minus, you go, honestly, minus, you go down. I'm sorry. So he's at, and then plus you go out. Yeah, he's +3. I had to redo it through my brain. He's at +3. So this guy is a free safety. This guy is supposed to cover this middle of the field right here. I will say this. The box is a little sound. They're a little short numbered here because they don't not account for this one. They have 6. They're trying to use this guy to account for it and play the pass in the flats. Doesn't really work. If they want to decide to run power, they could seal this and send it all the way. But the problem we have here is that we have just enough good talent. So you're going to see what happens here. Let's look what happens here when you play the guy here. You want this guy to cover the middle of the field. You can't do that. We got guys that are thinking about Zachariah Branch right here. Nobody there to cover the middle of the field. Beat him one-on-one and man. Touchdown James Madison right there. So those are the things right there that doesn't really make sense, and they put him in a bad situation. Hopefully Miller Moss catches those types of things, and it makes them a lot better. Another thing that we see here is
real quick, Coach, on that look they gave him right there, Utah State in the white. It was actually a really similar look to what LSU was lined up in on that final drive when Ware-Hudson caught that one-handed on the sideline. They were playing like a cover 2, but the safeties were closer down. And so Lincoln Riley drew up a perfect play where Zach Branch was able to do an inside, deep slant, which Miller could have hit that or hit Ware-Hudson in that soft spot. And so that look is real similar to what you're saying, where you can hit that deep slant because there's no one going to be there.
Well, this isn't even cover 2. They're low-key playing man, and this is LSU
is playing cover 2. But
I got you. But this
similar
is
look.
And a lot of people there's a difference between cover 1 and cover 0. Cover 1, there's always a guy up top helping you. Cover 0, this guy will be locked down on somebody because they're sending the house. This man is in cover 1, and he's supposed to be the up-high player. This dude's legit supposed to cover this right here and have everybody help him. But he's in such a tough position. He's at 9 yards. And if you go back and look at the film and see what he does. So if you even go and look, and we'll watch it from the end zone after. There's no way he could get here. So you have a Kyron Hunter. Think if this was Zach Branch, just one-on-one. He even makes this dude spin because his technique is awful. He's trying to play him to the sideline and use the sideline as help, which is an age-old trick that I'm not a fan of. And then you have a touchdown, right? So let me give you the backstory to this. The backstory is that James Madison ran the ball a bunch and they blitzed a lot. So they brought this guy down. This is the guy right here that they brought down. They brought this guy down because they were running the ball a lot. So James Madison got smart and said, hey, let's soften him up. So this is how you soften him up. Bam. You hit him over the top. This guy is trying to go. Once you hit the center field turn, ball's over his head. Anytime the ball's over the free safety's head, you got a touchdown. His effort sucks, right? So those are the things right there. And I think if you get a lot of that, which they do run a lot of this, they actually ran a lot of it in the game against Robert Morris. Nothing's really changed with defense because the defensive coordinator is now the head coach. This is the defense they ran all spring. The defensive coordinator is still running this. He caught a pick off of this. This guy, number 6, is returning. He caught a pick off of this, but I don't think this is very sound, which is weird. Then you go, we're going to bounce over to the run game now. So this is after that touchdown. They soften them up. One thing that we always do and one thing that I always count the numbers in the box. You see the numbers here? Can you see the numbers, Ryan?
Yep.
Utah State's in the blue. James Madison's in the red. You got 6 on 6, 6 on 7. The numbers here make sense, right? The problem is that it's not sound with this right here. This gap right here isn't a for certain gap, right? Is the 4 guy going to take it, or is the 6 guy going to take it? I imagine that the 6 guy will take this gap. The 4 guy will take this gap. I can draw a line so you guys can see. That gap should be taken there. I go here. That guy should be taken here. When you run the film, it looked like this guy's 2 gapping, but it's also off the misdirection because this guy, if you look at his eyes, is reading the guard, which is a no-no. You read the guy who's getting the ball. This guy's getting the ball. All right, so we look at it from the film perspective here. We got this look right here on film that I just showed you guys. You see this gap here that's still in question that I highlighted. This guy should take this. This guy should take that. The problem is they run the play. Instantly, he goes out that way. He leaves that hole wide open. There's no question for it. There's nobody there. What does that mean? Big day for Woody Marks if you get that look. Now, I get it. You got the safety who's going to come back and make the play. But anytime you get 5 to 6 yards on the run, it's never that good. So even with them going plus +1 in the box, you still have to have the +1 in the right situation, in the right place. We'll see it again here from the sideline. This guy right here, this is our guy right here. He's ended up playing this gap because he sees an open hole. I'm assuming this guy's supposed to field. I hope they fix it from our picture that we saw. But you see it right there. That gap is wide open. He runs up his back, and there you go.
Almost a 10-yard gain.
There you go. See?
That all day.
Now you go here. Now they go a hat for a hat. One thing you never want to be in the box is even, Ryan. We always want to be +1. We want to be +1, but we also want to be gap sound. So now they decide to go +1, but they have nobody to account for this guy. This guy can now become an extra blocker over here, and there's nobody to block for him. Anytime you pull, you could block back. This guy could become an extra blocker. You have nobody to count for him. There's no back door. There's a bunch of things that can happen. So you see the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The problem is that there's nobody to account for this gap right here. This guy could easily get washed out, and the gap happens. This guy could get, but also you could seal the edge with any type of pull. So if we go back to the film, all right, like we said, we got 6-man box. We got 6 on 6. We got a hat for a hat. Any run can make it happen. All he needs is a small crease. That gap is a little suspect. This one right here, he's covered, but this is an issue. And this is the same issue Long Beach Poly has. They're not +1, and they don't protect their defense. They don't protect their linebackers.
Damn, you had to throw Long Beach Poly under the bus like that?
I did. They gave up, over 90 points in 2 weeks? It's facts. This guy, ideally, right, if this guy's your Mike linebacker, ideally you want your Mike linebacker right here. Here, let me go back to the thing real quick. Hopefully it doesn't freeze. You want your Mike linebacker here behind that guy. You want that foot right here. He's protected. If you got this guy right here, you want this guy. Ideally, you want this foot behind this guy. That way he's protected. You have to protect your backers. You don't protect your backers. This is what happens. Split zone. Everybody's gone. And he's off to the races. Big day for Woody Marks. One thing Lincoln Riley does do is count numbers. So what you're going to get a lot of is counting numbers. This game may be slower and a slower aspect than more traditional football that you see from Lincoln Riley, waiting to count the numbers, waiting to get the look that he wants, and getting a lot of sideline changes because of what Utah State puts on him. I'm not taking anything away from this young defense coordinator. He does some good stuff. There's a little alignment issues that he has that ends up costing him big plays. But offensively, Miller Moss is going to see some stuff also. And I should have put on here. He likes to disguise things, and he uses that disguise sometimes, which runs the safety to the middle field, trying to get interceptions. But our players are faster and a little bit more athletic. You pick Zach Branch, Kyron Hudson. Big Deuce. Big Deuce looks like he got a little bit of wheels now. So
Big Deuce, Jacoby Lane, Kyle Ford got involved.
Yeah. So there's a loaded room, and you can't double team them all. And coverage-wise, they're not going to do very well. And this should be Woody Mark's coming out party. This might be my new Austin Jones. I'm a big fan of Woody Mark.
Dude,
and
Woody's
Joyner.
Great.
Hey, Joyner's pretty good too. Joyner got his 2-3 carries, and he made the most of them. And he looked good.
He had more than that. Yeah, he looked good.
So that's a big deal. So I think this week defensively, alignment isn't sound, and I think it's a little bit too complex, and they're trying to do too much. And Lincoln Riley is going to take advantage of it, and he's going to be the mad scientist that he is. And we're going to see a lot of yards off of mistakes.
Yeah. Well, in total, USC had 20 carries against LSU, 16 for Woody, 4 for Joyner, as you alluded to. I would expect this game to be quite a bit more run heavy.
If they give that 100%.
Yeah. Especially if they give those looks. Yeah.
Run
all day on those looks. But yeah, I'm excited to see these receivers, though. I mean, again, don't want to sound disrespectful to Utah State, but it's it's a lesser program. It is what it is, right? That's why you schedule these games. I mean, this receiving core, I think, proved on Sunday that they are one of the best in the country.
Yes.
The plays they made, the clutch they have, the style points they have. I mean, Jacoby Lane only had a handful of catches, and all his catches were pretty great. Zachariah Branch, get him in space. I mean, give that guy the ball 10 times a game. Good things are going to happen. Kyron Hudson ended up being wide receiver 1. Lake McCree at tight end. I mean, this air assault.
Lake did have a big play. That's right. Late in the game.
Great. And they got 2 freshman tight ends that are going to eat eventually too. So, then Deuce had that big catch down the sideline. So I don't see a world where Utah State's defense can, I mean, does USC punt once in this game?
Maybe.
If they play the way they're supposed to, do they punt once?
Fourth quarter when the JV team is in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably probably it.
Are we going? Did you set it up so we could both go, or are you going?
I think just me. You didn't tell me you wanted to go.
Man,
selfish. I got you credentials for Vegas, and you bailed.
I did not bail. I told you I will try to come if I can't make it because of the kids. They're young, but I am going to New Orleans. I'm going to New Orleans in February.
Oh, for Super Bowl?
You want to get me on Radio Row? Let's set that up. I'll be in New Orleans on February.
There you go. You can interview Mo Hassan there.
All right, good deal. I could do that. No, but I mean, JV squad, they might punt, but definitely it's he puts the numbers in the box. He's just, the alignment wise, he puts himself at a disadvantage. So Woody Marks, Joyner, this is a game that you keep Joyner at SC. Right? Yeah. Because in today's game is eventually you're going to get to the point Joyner's like, man, I'm going to get the portal. Like, I'm not. They keep bringing guys in. Like, nah, look, just wait one more year. Just be like Miller. Wait one more year. You'll be the guy. And number 0 will be in the peristyle if that's your goal, right? Right next to Reggie's.
Oh, yeah.
But
Joyner's not going anywhere. If anything, Amari and Peterson, I could see in the portal. He's same class. And their guy behind their true freshman, Brian, I think is already surpassed Amarian Peterson in the depth chart almost. So, but Joyner's, I mean, Woody Marks is gone this year. After this year, Joyner will be the guy.
Okay, good deal. Yeah. And And that's what the portal's for somebody like Omarion Peterson. Like, you got passed by a true freshman. Yeah. This just is
not saying he will, but if anyone
does. Yeah. And that's why you do it. But definitely big run game.
I mean, here's the last thing I'll say, Coach. Like, it feels like a big run game, but if they stack the box, I mean, and they're saying they want to go 1-on-1 with these receivers.
Yeah.
It might be a big pass game. It might be a 400-yard Miller Moss game where they're just like, we're just going to sling all day because you want to go 1-on-1 with Lane, Deuce, Lemon, and Branch. All right, good luck.
Yeah, and if we flip over to the other side of the ball, they're offensively they're basic. What they scored 37 against Robert Morris, 88-yard. They had a big 88-yard run from Barnes. But I don't think Barnes is going to be able to do what he did last year. And I think Barnes is expecting to come in and do what he did last year. I don't see that happening. I think there's going to be a scheme in place to take care of that. And I feel like defensively, you just have to make stops and then everything happens. So I think defensively, SC will be all right. We'll see. Hopefully they don't prove me wrong. But I think all they have on offense, I know they have their guys, but I think the biggest factor is Barnes and him trying to run.
Yeah, definitely. And as long as they play sound defense, which we believe they will with these new schemes and setting the edge, I can't see Barnes getting out and running wild or anything. He's not Lamar Jackson, so which they made him look like last year sometimes, but I don't think that'll happen this year.
I can't believe we're still saying we believe they will, and hopefully they will. Eventually, one day we're like, SC plays really good defense, and we know that they're going to stop them.
Wait, we got Utah State this week, then Michigan, then Wisconsin. So hopefully by the Minnesota game, we're like, this is just who they are. They're
a defensive team. Yes, definitely, and I appreciate that. But that's all I have for it, Ryan. I mean, that's our wrap up for the game. Victory Sunday.
Victories, yes, yeah. I don't think we're gonna go live after the game. It's gonna be like 1 a.m. So we'll go live Sunday morning 9 a.m. like we did all year last year.
I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I might not even be awake for the whole game. I might be good for a half.
Bro, I'm telling you. I was in Vegas and drove home after the game in Vegas, and I might get home at the same time this week being here in LA because of the late freaking start. Like, that game's not gonna get over till midnight. Then I got all the press conferences. Then I got to finish I might not leave till 2 a.m. from the college.
Why are they doing that? Aren't they supposed to be playing more East Coast time zone?
That's
games?
when we left the Pac-12, it's like, all right, Pac-12 after dark, no more. And then we get 30 minutes later in the Big Ten. But the only saving grace is that it's supposed to be 109 on Saturday, so at least it'll be cooler by 8 p.m.
Oh yeah, that's true. And then is this a Fox game?
I think so. I think they had to hit that late slot, and it's of all the games that this week in the Big Ten. I mean, Utah State's probably the least opponent of everyone playing. I haven't looked at the whole schedule, but my guess is.
By the way, we're still the only Power 4 school that has yet to play a 1AA opponent. That still holds. So I'm still happy about that. Are
you saying ever or
ever?
Really?
We're the only Power 4 school that has yet to play a 1AA opponent.
That's
great.
We
only schedule what is it? I forgot the name of it now all of a sudden. There's Power 5. No, yeah. But what are the Division 1 called? It's not Power 5 or Power 4.
Well, it's Power 4 and Group of 5.
Yeah, Group of 5. We only schedule Group of 5s and things like that. So definitely.
Yeah.
Nope, USC's on the Big Ten Network. That makes it even more interesting that they have an 8:00 game like that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I knew that. Big Ten Network. Yeah, not Fox. Sorry. I just glossed over when you said that. Yeah, Big Ten Network.
We might not be able to watch it. Oh, no, that's only Comcast. They want the $10 from. We'll see. I might not be able to watch it.
You should be good. It's not like Pac-12 Network. Like they have.
No, there's an argument. There's an argument with the Oregon and Washington are blacked out of all their games with the Big Ten.
Are they? I thought that was just Disney and DirecTV.
No, Comcast has an issue too. Yeah.
Jeez, all these TV networks, man.
I need to find out if I can watch it. If not, you better give me a last minute media pass so I can get up there and watch the game.
All right. Yeah. No.
Definitely. No, definitely. But yeah, that's all I have. It's been fun, Ryan. Let's do it. Hey, if you guys want to know anything more about sports and what we do in LA, go to LAFB Network. com. You can learn about the Rams, Chargers, and the other team on the other side of town. We have great articles. Even if you're into fantasy, check out our Decide guys, and they'll hook you up with all the fantasy podcasts and articles. That's LAFB Network.
And Coach, we're launching Lakers coverage this season too.
Oh, there we go.
And Dodgers coverage.
Who's going to be responsible for the 182 games?
Not me. I'm on the search for someone. True Dodgers coverage is coming in a few months, but Lakers by season start, we'll have Lakers coverage. So
we're going to have Lakers and Dodgers coverage too. So it looks like we're turning into the LA Fan Base Network. There we go.
I told you that's going to be the new name, right?
You did not.
Well, it is. There we go. LAFB Network, LA Fan Base Network.
There we go. So check out the website, the LA Fan Base Network. I don't know when I'm allowed to start saying it yet. You're the boss, so let me know when we're releasing it.
It doesn't matter because it's still LAFB, so it's perfect.
Yeah. Go to LAFB Network. Check out Rams, Chargers, the other school on the other side of town, Lakers and Dodgers coming soon, and fantasy with my favorite guys, the Decide guys.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, it's been fun. Enjoy the game. Stay cool. It was 111 out here today. It was brutal, 113 at my in-laws' house. This is like one of the worst heat waves I've ever been a part of.
It was 111 here in Pass. I mean, I'm dying right now because I have to have my AC off because it's too hot in here or too loud. So you can see I'm turning red.
Yeah, you look like I looked on Saturday when I was all lubricated.
There you go. Yeah.
Definitely, it was fun, Ryan. Victory Sunday. I'll see all you guys on Victory Sunday. It's the Bet Online Salute Detroit podcast. You guys know how it goes. Live free, fight on.